Hello, this is Randy Rentala coming to you live from my home. The Oracle of Origins has a lot to talk about today. We're going to have some special guests also, but the main thing we're going to talk about today is what is your agent doing for you? And now I know that can go in a few different ways, and the only reason why I bring that up is because there's been a lot of things that happen, and I've got daily content, but some things that happened over the weekend that kind of reminded me, again, what are we all doing here? I mean, who's the professionals and who are the agents? There is a difference between the two. So that's what we're going to work with today. We're going to concentrate on what is your agent doing for you, because I can tell you what I'm doing for you. I'm doing whatever it takes. That's the difference of what I do. And I'm going to have guests throughout all my podcasts that will back that. They're going to speak freely. They're going to just tell you, the authentic side of what I've done. I only know how to do it one way. I have to be honest. It's from my mom. Didn't grow up with much, but she and her work ethic to this day never left me. And it's something that I can't even help myself. Heck, I have builders out here who are the same way. They don't need to be here. They're here every day because they care. That's the difference. Does somebody really care? And everybody should know that. You know the difference of somebody who cares and doesn't care. They're fly by. I know we're all busy now, even with my clients. There's some clients I won't talk for a year. And I mean, just from the standpoint, I'm doing new construction, but if they need anything, call me, please. And I've got an example. I have a client from 10 years ago over the weekend. And this is part of the reason why I'm bringing this subject up. From 10 years from a cell, who turned to me because they knew that my knowledge, I could potentially help them. And yes, we are there today. I'm going to be there later this afternoon, and we're going to figure out the problem to see if there's any way we can help. There was a construction issue over the weekend that was discovered. And we're going to go back and we're going to find out, because again, you got to lay your hands on it. You can't just sit there and take a phone call and say, oh, well, I've done my job, and just call a few people. Not me. Now, other people will do it, but that's not what I'm about. I am so hands-on. It's a detriment, actually. There's good and bad with that, and everybody knows that too. When you overly involve yourself like I do, you get pulled in a lot of direction. So at the end of the day, my big thing is, what is your agent doing for you? And I mean that because I'm not here to compare myself to anybody, because you'll learn. You'll learn along the way. If you trust this information, the podcast, everything that's going to be put out there, I'm going all in, because it is important that I believe everybody's connected in this. When the market goes down, that's not a good thing for anybody. When the market goes up, that's not necessarily a good thing for everybody. It's just information. Are you informed? Are you getting the right information? Are you being told how to maintain your home? Oh, that's a huge segment that's going to come out with that. I'm so excited, because you don't realize when you actually take the time, sit down with professionals, the experienced ones, how much you can learn. And I know everybody who's ever run a business, started out with nothing, started out from the bottom all the way through, there's a different respect. And that's kind of where I'm coming from, is where you start out green, and then it depends on how fast you want to get to that next level. How much do you put into the job? Do you just clock out? Is it a 9-to-5 job? Or are you there regardless of what it takes? Is it 3 o'clock in the morning you're getting up because you got to have that deadline in by noon, and you're behind? Whatever it takes, not giving excuses. That's just not what I'm built like. So again, my big thing is, what is your agent doing for you? And we're going to get heavily involved with that, and I hope you come along for the ride. Hello, everybody. We are here with our special guest today. We've got Derrick Isaac and Sabrina Isaac. They have been homeowners in Origins for over 6 years now. They were original buyers in our Pathway section, and then they moved on to the Stillwater A section, and they did their larger home that a lot of people will do in here. And that's where it all starts too, is some people will come in, they'll get their feet wet, and then they'll find out what they actually want. And that's exactly what the Isaacs did. So let's welcome you, Derrick, Sabrina. How'd you guys find Origins? What was the big draw of Origins?
So I'll try to give you the Cliff Note version. We were actually looking for homes starting back in 2013, 14. So we were on 30A, looking at homes, looking at Blue Water.
Okay.
Blue Mountain, I'm sorry. Blue Mountain. Mm-hmm. And liked the homes. Price was kind of beyond what we wanted to pay at the time. But anyway, we looked there. We looked at Prominence. We looked at Audubon.
Yes.
Yep, I remember Audubon. Mm-hmm.
And Nature Walk. We talked to a couple of realtors and agents, and they led us to Bay County, and we would ride right by the bridge. Didn't even know Watersound existed.
So the Watersound Bridge, that nice white bridge out front. You're not the only ones. There's still locals that didn't do that.
It says golf course. We're not golfers.
Uh-huh.
We play golf, so we don't want to live on a golf course.
Ah, okay.
Going into Bay County, looking at homes off of West Bay,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's way out there. Oh, yeah.
2017, we were coming back from looking at homes in West Bay, and we was like, "What is this Watersound?" And we happened to turn, and of course, it's like a mile off the road. So once we got back, it's actually home. And it was just Winter Garden.
Gotcha. Which is our first community. Winter Guard was pretty much the starter community between 2012 and 2016, and that's really when Origin started to make its name out there.
So we pulled into the amenities up front, and they had the model was right behind the gym.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I remember that.
The mom was like, "Okay, this is nice. This is really nice." And we called my mom and told her about it, and she came down and talked with
Another
a realtor,
Mhm.
and she was like, "Well, we like it." She really liked it. So then we came back, and that's when we bought the first home.
And you said that was when in 2017?
End of 2017, because she closed May of 2018
Right.
on the Dogwood.
Okay. And your mom, in what area was she living in at the time?
She's in Alameda, California.
So you bought in the actual Pathways community.
Yes.
Yeah. So Pathways is the second phase of Waterstone Origins. That was built between 2017 and 2020 is when we finished all the homes. So when you got here, that means there was about 200 homes built. And of course, because Winter Garden was 212 lots and there was still some construction going on. So let's just call it 200 homes. Okay. So what was the appeal beyond the initial evaluation of it, especially in Pathways? Was it just the opportunity? Was it just a starter home? What was it?
It was off the beaten path, off the highway, off 98,
Okay.
not on 38.
Correct.
Because we looked at Prominence, and Prominence was just too much hustle and bustle. The rentals.
So that's huge, folks. That is one of the biggest factors is the sheer size of what Origins is, but that is the factor that people ask about, because if you haven't lived it and been in communities that half, if not 80%, 90% of the community is a short-term rental, it eventually breaks you down. But nobody wants to leave the area. They just want a better circumstance, and that's what Origins has provided. So please, yeah. And then so you purchased in Pathways, and what size home? Do you recall?
So the Dogwood, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. I think it was 2,600 square feet.
Okay.
Plenty of room, nice house, nice layout. And once we start, other houses were being built, and so we went on. I forgot the name of the road, but we saw a house that had a carriage house, which we're like, "Whoa, a carriage house!" It was like one of the only ones that we saw.
Correct.
And my mom was like, "Well, hey, we're kind of outgrowing the house because because when you live off 38 or near 38, everybody was coming visit."
It happens. Yes, indeed.
We really didn't. So we needed one extra room, and the carriage house fit the bill.
Yeah.
So my mom was like, "Well, hey, look around. If you find something, we put the house on the market." So we saw, I think that's a Romare or Cole.
It was Romare.
Romare home.
Do you remember which area it was in?
So at the stop sign up here, it's the blue house right off of geez, how do I not know the streets? The first turn.
But it's in Pathways. Yeah.
So it was built after ours were built.
Yeah.
But anyway, it had a carriage house, had the slide in the huge.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I remember that house. Mm-hmm.
We went and talked to a realtor and was like, "Hey, do you have any houses with a carriage house?" And at the time, it was Huff Realtor,
And we were looking for a fifth bedroom.
or a 5th bedroom.
And
yeah,
it was now.
so
And that when you were talking to the agent, was that at our on-site office?
yes,
Okay, so you had actually come back, and that's what we see a lot. We see a lot of people saying, "Hey, got our feet wet. Let's go talk to I'll call it the experts, the people that know the product, and see if there's other opportunities than what they have." So at this point, you came back into the office, and I believe is that when we met, or was it after that?
So the first time we came, we met a particular person, and they just took our information, showed us the model, and then we said, my mom, like maybe 6 months later, and she talked to a different agent, and actually worked the deal, and we bought the Dogwood.
Okay.
But then we went back, maybe after we closed, I would say maybe 9 months later, maybe a year later at the most. And we was
It
like,
was
we
quick.
gave her our requirements. Like, hey, we need a 5 bedroom home, or if possible, a home with a carriage house. And pretty much it was no. And
And do you know why that was a no at the time? Was it more towards like the builders just weren't into to doing anything more than staying in that production mode?
According to them,
Okay.
they don't make changes. This is what it is,
Okay.
right?
So then, yeah, true production. And that's what it is out here, because it was tough. Because in all honesty, guys, I got here about 6 years ago, and I've worked with all these builders. And unfortunately, I'm that guy that raises his hand and asks questions. And that's a good and bad thing. Meaning this is that I'm just a believer that if you're a builder, then why can't we do it? You know, I mean, if there's a good reason why, fine, but I'm willing to ask. And so I think that's what kind of leads us into our relationship. So I do recall you coming back in.
came back in because
Mhm.
what happened once we were told no, we were actually looking at the new models to see what we liked and if we could afford it.
Okay.
And we came back, and that's when we met you, and we were like, hey, this is what we're looking for. We like this particular house, and you gave us the price on that house. We were like, whoa, at the time, it was out of our budget. And you said, but we could, you showed us the ficus, which was like
The home.
the anchor home.
Mhm.
And you told us that you could actually probably have a carriage house built onto that. We was like, you can do that. And so we went with the ficus.
Okay.
And added the carriage house, but the ficus was literally it was modified. It's still a one
Because
of
you
one to this
listened
day.
to us.
You listened to us. We told
What
you
we
what
needed.
we wanted. We wanted a punched out kitchen. We wanted 2 masters, which I don't even know if there's another house in this neighborhood with 2 masters.
No, there's not many. There's not many. Yeah.
So the kitchen was punched out. We got 2 masters, and the closet was punched out. So
Yeah,
everything we asked for, you gave, and even
Plus
put your
more.
fine touch to it. So plus more.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And to be fair, everybody, I mean, this is what I do. I mean, that's the difference is the relationship that I have with the builders. I will do a lot of that extra work so they can't say no, or it'll be tough for them to say no, because when you're dealing with production builds, and that's what Origins is, it truly is a production. 95% of all the homes in here are production builders. Now, can we go off the beaten path and start doing some modifications? Of course. And now have all of them adapted for the most part? Yes. But in those early stages, there was a lot of no's because it was busy. And to slow down and do these customizations, it's a lot of work behind the scenes. People do not realize how much work it is. But the difference is as the Isaacs are saying, is I was able to listen to what they did, and then I went to bat for them. And that's what an agent's supposed to do. A true agent, and you can't get that from an outside agent, guys. And I'm going to keep mentioning that because I work directly with buyers, okay? And there's a reason why I work directly with buyers. I do not like middlemen. They do nothing for me. They do nothing for them. So in this certain situation, it was an awesome experience because it really actually took it to the next level because they did a home that nobody else had at the time, right? It was special and they felt special about it. And I'm not just speaking for you because I know we've had this conversation and I do appreciate that. I mean, they stop in all the time. They see me, they know where we're at, they know how busy I am, but they also know that I'm willing to listen and hear their ideas. And that's just not in Origins. I mean, all I do is sell Origins, yes, for now. But they ask me real estate questions on the outside because that's what I consider them. They are my clients. It's not about a paycheck. You know what? There's too many people that are doing that just for the paycheck. I am blessed. The paycheck, the money's going to be there. It's not about that. It's the fact that I've got all this experience and knowledge. And I feel like if I don't share that with people, just to be a good person, just to, hey, this is real money. This is their investment. This is supposed to be our biggest investment that we have in our lives. Why aren't we sharing this information? And then do I build the trust that they're going to turn to me one day? And it may be 10 years from now, because I look at it from the standpoint is we plant seeds. They grow when they're ready to grow. But I want to be there and provide, the service like the Isaacs are mentioning, because it means a lot to me. I mean, I really care. And that's the difference. I mean, you'll find people and go through situations where, again, people just show up. And then you find the ones that give that extra detail, that extra effort, go over and beyond. That's the thing that I pride myself in, because I am not going to be like everybody else. I will not do it. I'm out there hustling. I'm working. I'm doing whatever it takes. And I'm so glad that they got to see that side of me. And this is just the beginning of these relationships, because regardless, if we ever, do a real estate transaction, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me. I've made my impact. and we're going to be friends for life. And that's the way it is. And so clients, there's business side of things and then there's personal side of things. To me, it kind of runs together. I do believe that there is a difference of separating business from personal, but in my business, it's hard to do that. So if you're going to keep it real, and that's what I am, I hope people see the authenticity of what I provide.
So one of the things that we liked about Origins, when we first came, I felt like it was like a small community, like all the paths that go through the neighborhood. Like we saw people outside walking, riding their bikes, and that it's a very active community. And it's peaceful here. You come off of 98 and you're like, this is such a busy road and blah, blah, blah. But you come over that bridge and it's peaceful in here. And I love being here in this neighborhood. The woods are surrounding us.
Mm-hmm.
We have lots of wildlife. You see the deer, you see, the little ponds with alligators. It's peaceful here. That's one of the things that attracted me to want to be here, because when we were looking on 30A, it's busy.
Yeah.
Like
great point.
Super busy. There's lots of community events.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very active. The pickleball community, of course.
Mm-hmm. Huge.
Yeah. And so it's just an active community. And I like that about it. And it feels safe.
And that's the other thing too. Exactly. So our area actually, we are very fortunate. Yes, call it whatever you want, the fantasy world, the bubble, but we don't have crime. People ask, well, why don't you have gated communities and this and that? You got to remember, when you gate a community, you separate yourself. And that's not what this is about. This is interconnecting. We have over 10 miles. This goes down to 30A of walking trails. So the big trails that they've put in here, and they're a combination of our pebble trails, and there's the wider asphalt trails. And that's the ones I'm speaking of, where bikers, walkers, and joggers utilize those, because it is a big golf cart community, because you can take your golf cart down to 30A. Most golf carts are going to be street legal, so we do recommend that. But they are not to be on those cart paths. The walking paths. Golf carts stay in the streets. So no doubt about it, that is one of the biggest things that we've seen too, is the fact that people have said the same thing, even though it's a little bit back, further back, but it's away from the hustle and bustle, especially with Highway 98 out there. And we've got the town center up front, but you don't hear it. You're back here in your own little world. And so, yeah, I appreciate that comment, because that is huge, because a lot of people have mentioned that.
The grocery store is there. Like, that has changed.
Game changer.
Like, the grocery store is right there. We have different food venues coming.
Yeah, it's just the beginning. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's nice being able just to go to the grocery store and pick up what you need and come back home. It's not far at all. So that was a big attractant.
What do you think? What do you think, Derrick?
Pretty much the same, away from the hustle and bustle, and moving here from DC, where it's constant hustling and unfiltered light. Here you're just peaceful. It's the stars. You can see the stars. It's pitch dark at night. We didn't get that in DC. Night looked like day.
And I think this is important to understand where the Isaacs come from. They're both retired military. Yes. So they've seen a lot. And we find that people do think that Florida's not the same, guys. I mean, that's the thing. We find it all the time. People will come in here and they say, well, we're going to visit the 5 points of Florida, or we're going to go to Jacksonville, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers, Sarasota, all these different. And then they seem to come back to the Panhandle because it's just different. And it's that piece behind it.
And we've actually looked in Tampa area. Mm-hmm. Looked to go.
Just wasn't the same.
Yeah. And like she said, we thought it was a golfing, community, or a golfing.
Yeah. That was the central point. Yeah.
Neighborhood. But, once we found out it was a neighborhood, it moved. You don't have to leave the neighborhood for anything, because even though we don't golf, we enjoyed all the walking paths, the gym, the pickleball, and we love the canoe and kayak launch.
Yes.
Right in your own neighborhood. You can go
Lake Powell.
Canoe.
Which leads to the Gulf of Mexico. So there's so much. Guys, we appreciate it, because this is just the beginning. As we said, we're going to bring in so many people to give their own takes on it. But thank you again for the compliments and everything, because it has been, it was meant to be that we met each other, that you guys came in and I was working that day. And I got to start my troublemaking, as they call me.